Good evening. This is the Elliott Wave Daily Update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 from Monday, December the 9th, 2024. I'm going to start with the S&P. I'm on the index, I'm on the futures market, and I'm on the 1-hour chart. And the market did over the weekend, but not necessarily here in the S&P, but it did in the NASDAQ, where it went up and made an additional slight new high, which we left open as a possibility here in the S&P. It did not. And over what we saw on, I think this was Friday. Yeah, over what we saw on Friday. So, but what we did see is what looks to be A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C. Now, two ways I can look at it. I'm looking for a fourth wave, a smaller fourth wave. It did come down 0.236, which I thought with the intensity of the rally and the total interest in keeping these markets higher, maybe to the 20th, maybe to the end of the month, as we discussed over the weekend. But in any case, that it could be a complete ABC, could put a 4 down there, and we start heading higher again. But that would suggest that we're moving higher in minuette wave 5 of minute wave 5 of minor wave 5 to complete intermediate wave 3. So we might be there, or the other side of the coin is that it's 1, 2, 3. We do a little 4, we come back down in a 5, complete A, go up in an ABC, come back down again in a C, and still end up within this range here to finish the 4. What are we going to know? How's it going to tell us that what's going on? Well, if it's an ABC and it's complete and we're putting the 4 here, and we may get a little bit of an additional downside, and maybe we get down to that support at 6,050. And so that's not really all that much more than where we're at right now, about another $12, and we're down there, and that could complete it. So we're going to leave that open. Now, if it is complete, I'm going to look for this to hightail it and get up and out of all of this. Number one, getting back above 6,083, which is where the hourly 20 is sitting, and then get back above the 50, which is sitting, and let me get that out of the way, at 87. And that's going to start to give us those clues. It's like, okay, that's done. We're heading higher in a 5-wave sequence. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it should be of a decent size. So again, I can throw up some initial. Now that's going to say that that low that we've hit today completed this fourth wave. So this is not by any means a line in the sand. This is just giving an indication of what we could expect to the upside. So we're already looking at, like, if today's low completed that small minuette wave 4, then what can we look for on the upside? Well, wave 5, because that's what we're measuring out, we'd be measuring out minuette wave 5, would be equal to minuette wave 1, which is where we make that comparison, and that comes in at 6,163. And that would just be the equality. 1.618, which would be the second most common, is 6226. So we're looking at getting closer to 6,200 versus continue if we're going to drop down as if we're in a different, in other words, where this minute wave 5 and everything else will be already complete. That I don't see. There was periods of today where we saw some heavier selling. Interestingly enough, Tesla, which is also in the S&P, managed to break itself above 400 this morning, early. Usually within that first few minutes of trading, it broke. It got itself up there, went and took out a bunch of stops, and then proceeded to just sell off about $25. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But that then turned the whole market. That and then about quarter of the way down, Apple decided to jump into progress, and Apple then carried us, stabilized the market, let's say. But they managed to get up to new all-time highs, and they're closing at new all-time highs. And even in that extra hour that we get after our regular close, they're heading up towards 248. Right now they're 247.11 at 13. So, it's to get Apple back up there. So what did kind of get hit today and kind of also dragged it down, we saw Netflix, we saw Nvidia because China's doing this antitrust action, and so everybody's getting all concerned. But it's just really for today. I think all of this gets forgotten if nothing comes out, and then they just kind of start and resume. Everybody goes back in. So I'm sticking with that. I don't think that we're done going up. I don't think that intermediate wave 3 is complete. Now, so that would suggest that we just now got to pay attention to what we're doing inside here. Now, I'm going to take this off because it puts a little bit too much confusion in there. But I'm just saying, if we start to break above the 1 hour 20, the 1 hour 50, it's going to start to give us that clues. And definitively, if we get back above 6,100, then I'm going to say that wave 4 is more than likely done. Otherwise, we got an A. We can come all the way back, to be honest with you. We can come all the way back to 61.14, whatever that high was, 61.11, and go back down to where we ended up today at 60.58. That would put a 4, that would be a flat. 3 down, 3 up, 5 back down, and a flat. So right now it's a zigzag, and that's kind of what I was looking for right here. But we're going to have to kind of wait and see, did it complete? Does it got a little bit more and then completing? So what I'm laying out is the possibility of what we would look for if it did complete. And what we're looking for to give us confirmation is, of course, the formation of 5 waves up, but also that we start to break back above the moving averages that got broken on the way down today. That would also be a good sign that, okay, that part's done and now we're going to move along. So I'm going to take this off so we can keep this all open. And that's really about it for the S&P. Again, as I said, we going back out to the daily just to look at our moving averages. The only one we really kind of broke here was the 20, and we actually closed right at it today. So we're just basically sitting right on top of it. This, I think, is at 62. Yeah, 62, where it's closing up at 63. So, okay. So no harm, no foul. That's on the daily. Everything else still is in place. So that keeps us also in pretty good shape for the market to turn and to resume the rally and finish it. So again, what we're looking at is that we're in a minuette wave 4, maybe done today. If it is, we're going to start to higher, and we're looking for that break back above 6,100 to kind of give us some stronger confirmation that it's likely done and that we're heading up, we're going higher. So we'll keep an eye on it, or we're going to see if it's an A, we're going to come back up in a B, come back down in a C. So in other words, you're going to take the rest of this week possibly. I think we have CPI, PPI also coming out this week. I think CPI is on Wednesday, PPI is on Thursday. Let me just double check while I'm here. Let me just go and take a look at what those are coming this week. We have CPI on Wednesday and PPI on Thursday. So we may just kind of sit around in a range until we get that data on Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, so that's really it for the S&P today, and there's really not very much to talk about in the NASDAQ either, but let's go over and take a peek. So again, just opening this up, you can see it's pretty clean. A, there's the B, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whether the 5 is going to be a little bit more extended, bring us down to here, or even further, yet to be determined. But we continue to have that support, by the way. So fourth wave support. We're closing right at that initial, which is about 6,062, 63. We're closing pretty much right at 63. And then the next down there is 6,033 and then 6,009. So again, I continue to say that my feeling is that this minuette fourth wave holds the market will hold above 6,000. All right, let's go over and take a look at the NASDAQ and see what that guy did today. NASDAQ is a little bit more difficult, but not necessarily totally. And let me see if I can open this up, at least on the hourly chart. We could take a look inside. So we got that minuette wave 3, and it did overnight in the Globex session, we went up and we made a new high above 21,700, reaching a high at 21,003. So not all that much. We had that additional resistance up above at 18, but we did put in a new high, and so I marked that and made a slight adjustment to our levels coming off for this minuette wave 4. So here it's a little bit different. I can say A, B, but then this doesn't really look like it. So this is where what I was saying in the other one is it a 1, 2, 3, and this is a 4, and then we get the 5. So we get a 5 wave A. Then we do 3 up and a B, and then we come back down in 5, so more of a zigzag. That actually could balance out in both of the S&P and the NASDAQ. And so here it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we actually did get, don't think we did not put in an additional new low. So I would be looking for the market, if it comes down and gets itself below 21,436. The low today was 36 even. If we get below that, and then I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so then that maybe is wave A of this minuette wave 4, and then we come up in a B wave, come back down in a C wave. So it should be a zigzag. We can do the same thing over in the S&P, but it's a little bit cleaner that we did get that 5 down off of its mid-morning high. And so that's why I thought A, B, and a C, but it could be 1, 2, and a 3. We get a little rally up in a 4, we come back down in a 5, which would put in a new low here, and also the new low in the S&P, and then we get 5 down, and that would be labeled A of 4. And then we get a 3 waves up, and then we get another 5 down. So again, because we got CPI and PPI later in the week, CPI coming first on Wednesday, PPI on Thursday, we may just kind of sit in a range, trade in a range. Was not bad in terms of a trading range today. Was able, as a day trader, able to make some decent money, and not always the easiest. Again, with one going in one direction, another going in another direction, it's the push-pull. And so, but able to get in and out and move it around, so it worked. S&P may have been a little bit easier. I trade the NASDAQ. So a little bit on the tough side here and there, but you just stood aside and maybe got something else done in between. Now, so I'm going to leave this as that possibility that we come back down. We put in a slight new low. Here are some additional support levels. We have 21,422 and 21,334, I'm going to call it, 334. And then 382 sits right below at 21,312. Now, if we come down completing 5, and we go up in 3, and we come back down in 5, end up in here, then it's very clean. It's a nice, clean ABC. It was a very dynamic third wave that extended and extended. So having a little bit more time to put in this clean 4, maybe just what we need, or just what we're looking for. But again, over the weekend, if you remember, I was talking about, like, what could really just keep this market in a range, pushing it out to the major expiration this month, of course, is going to be our monthly, which is on December the 20th. So could the market hold higher and get up there and finish this intermediate? So in other words, finish the minute fifth wave, the minor fifth wave, and in turn, then again, that intermediate third wave, lining us up, moving right into end of the year, or not. So we could finish up this minuette wave 5 up. Maybe it'll go take us all the way through the end of the year. I don't know how it all just plays out, but these are just scenarios that are possibilities. So we finish up at the high, right? So we finish all of these, the minute, the minor fifth, and then the intermediate third towards the end of the year. And then we're just going to we'll just get a head start on that larger intermediate fourth wave down. And I think that could really begin our new year. We shall see. So not too much more to be adding to here. So what we're going to keep it open, that maybe doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave A of this fourth wave. And then we do a B wave up, and then we do another C wave down. So we could end up 0.382, maybe even as low as 50. But we have some pretty solid support. I would think at 21,310, which right now is where the hourly 200 is sitting. So that's really going to be it. Not too much more to be talking about today. So we're going to keep it on the short side. Let me take a quick look to see if anything, what we have might coming out tomorrow. U.S. productivity and unit labor costs, those are both revised for the third quarter. They come out at 8:30 a.m. 6 a.m. we have NFIB optimism index, which never really does anything, as far as I know. Then of course Wednesday CPI and Thursday PPI and initial jobless claims. So that's going to be it for today. The next update will be on Tuesday, December the 10th.